Welcome to today's webinar, where we will have a discussion with Asymmetrical.ai in India about implementing customized digital curriculum to promote independent, self-directed learning. I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and I'm delighted to say that I am joined by Mr. Siddharth Rahalkar and Ms. Ketki Sohoni. Before I hand over to both of you to introduce yourselves, I'd like to invite all of our attendees listening to join in the discussion, either using the chat feature or by asking a question in the Q&A box. So please say hello, let us know where you're joining from today as well through that chat feature, but also make comments and ask those questions in the Q&A too. So I'd like to hand over now to the panel to introduce yourselves and how long you've been working for the company and your position there too. So we'll start with Siddharth.
Hello, everyone. Those in the West, good morning to you, and those from this side, good afternoon. I come from finance background, so I'm a chartered accountant. But now, last 12 years, I'm in the field of education. Asymmetrical was born out of our passion for education, and we have been working in the field of education. Started with teaching first, and then we had our own B school which we were managing, and after that we got into the skills. So all this helped us understand the difficulties students are facing, and somewhere the financial background came in handy, because we kind of look for an opportunity where we are able to solve the problem, along with the commercial impact also has to be there. So that's what I've been doing. And Ketki, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, would love to. So hi everyone. Actually, thank you so much for joining us, because at Asymmetrical, we genuinely believe that education is always a collaborative effort. So all of you joining in from different countries, different schools, different types of educational institutions is a great way to have a dialogue based on how we can improve learning for kids and students out there. I'm Ketki. I'm the co-founder of Asymmetrical.ai, and as Sid said, we have been into education for past 12-13 years now. I personally started in training and development area. That's where I started, then moved on to business school operations, and last couple of years we have been in EdTech in India, and working very closely with schools, students, and teachers so far.
Brilliant. Thanks both. So before we start this discussion and get into the details of your history and what the school's all about, I just want to highlight that along the way, you may hear references to Courseware. And Courseware is a digital curriculum program with over 400 different courses within it. So from core courses through to electives, CTE, and more pertinently to this conversation, world languages. But I wanted to start the discussion today with an introduction to Asymmetrical and a little bit more information as well. So at that point, can I get the next slide, please? And over to Siddharth.
Yep. So we got a chance to work for K-12 students in our earlier stint. This was during the lockdown period. And we kind of got a chance to interact with parents, students, and also the administration of various schools. One common complaint that we were getting from every one of them was regarding the scheduling. Students are getting overscheduled, and when it was lockdown here, parents were kind of finding ways to schedule their students or kids. Then school administration was also struggling in those days, and when things opened up, we went back to these parents and kind of figured out that there are three major concerns this ecosystem has. One was they were looking at finding the passion of their kids too early. Secondly, the overscheduling, as I said earlier, was another issue. And the bigger issue that I had, kind of identified during my B school days or skill center days in India, we realized that many of these students who were working with us, who were learning with us, they were not reading enough. And reading was kind of out of fashion because these days everything is bite size, and the attention span was another issue everybody was talking about. But we wanted to be on the side of solution and not part of the problem. So we thought, why not start with something that will have reading, writing, as well as self-initiated courses or learning. So we started with the first one, which is reading. We launched our platform, and that was the question that was asked during my introduction. So I'll just answer that here. So we started about 6 months back now, and initially it started with 300 students. So there was not much of a pressure on us. We were, happy to see the results they were reading. Unlike what was said about them about reading, we were getting good traction there. But then this improved so fast that eventually in the next 3 months, we had already reached to 7,000 or 8,000 thereabout. And now we are at 10,000 plus, students. So this growth was, very much unexpected for us. And that's the time we realized that now we need to add another feature, which is learning courses or self-initiated courses. So what we believe is we want them to take the lead on their own, and we are not measuring time spent on the platform. Our focus is what activity they start or initiate, and they're able to finish that activity. So they have to be finishers in the longer run. That's what we believe, and the choice is entirely given to them. So once the numbers increase, we needed something more to engage with them. And that's when Summer of Languages happened at Asymmetrical in association with Edmentum. And let me say, this experience was again, more than satisfactory, because so many students participated, we were, Ketki will explain that in detail, but we were like overjoyed seeing all this. And Asymmetrical is a platform for joyful learning, and we believe that students should be happy. They should not be overburdened. And they have so many ideas. They need a way out to share those ideas with us. So we are very soon going to launch our writing platform. So that's where we are in last 5 months or 6 months now. And Edmentum has been a great support in that journey to us.
To go from 0 to 10,000 students in 6 months is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Every time I speak to Ketki, she's saying how busy you all are. So it's an amazing achievement to get that many students in such a short space of time. That's great. So you can stop sharing that screen now and go into some of the questions you say to Ketki. The first question, obviously you mentioned about working with us through that summer program, but what were you looking for in a program when you came across Courseware? What was it that you were looking for in an online program?
So as Sid mentioned that we moved to 10,000 students in 5 months, right? So I'm talking about April, May 2022. When we got this critical mass of 10,000 students, and then we wanted to start with this learning area also, because we are read, write, learn type of a platform. So when we wanted to do that, for us, learning was always self-directed learning or asynchronous learning. So we started searching for courses, content partners who would provide such modules to us. And that's where, when we were zeroing down on some content partners, we found Edmentum's Courseware, which fit our requirement pretty perfectly. Because of the variety of courses that you had. And second, the system is pretty intuitive. So that is something we wanted. And one point I would like to mention here, Gareth, is the people support that we got at Edmentum, because it was not only selling the courseware. It was more of understanding what was our need, how we wanted to go in that direction, how Edmentum as a company can support us, how these modules are designed. So all of us was explained to us in multiple series of meetings. And that's one of the reasons, apart from good content or good modules, that helped us zero down on courseware. But this is exactly what we were looking for: self-directed learning and these kind of modules.
Yeah, no, yeah, so I think it's a good point, and thanks for that. I mean, it's all well and good picking a resource, but having people behind you to make sure, especially if you're growing this fast, that you've got the help in place. And what courses have you offered your students? What are you doing now, and you've got any hopes for the future with that? But
oh yes, many. And in terms of interactions, we had multiple of them, because me and Sid, we come from both backgrounds, right? Ed and tech, education and technology. So we had multiple queries based on the content and the platform and how it works. So yeah, that helped. Based on the courses that we are currently offering, so far we focused on world languages for students, and in that we chose French. So maybe going ahead, I'll explain why and how we did that. But so far we are with world languages. As far as hopes and how we want to move ahead, we have had a lot of discussions based on that. Sid, would you like to take this up?
Yeah, I mean, for India, it's all about volumes, as you rightly said, that it's a great growth for 6 months. And sometimes when you are managing a technology as an outsider, this growth kind of becomes very challenging, which we have already gone through. So we had 3 versions of our platform in as many months. And that's the kind of development we needed to do that quickly. So definitely keeping this in mind, we want a partner who understands our issues regarding the volumes. There is a diversity sort of there as far as interests are concerned. So we are very happy with the kind of courseware that you have. It's kind of diverse and very current, if I may use that word, very updated, very that is something that is being demanded by the market. So that's something that we definitely appreciate. In the longer run, to make things better, I think artificial intelligence is something that may be a great tool for all of us, because there are so many things like assessing where students are and where they are heading with maybe a fraction of the total interaction that we expect from them, and giving them some input around that could be an interesting play, for us as well as Edmentum, is what we believe. So that's something that will change the way students are approaching. So like all these competitive exams where difficulty level changes depending on your answers. So a lot of intelligence is built into those systems. I'm not saying we complicate these things for students, but by doing so we can simplify. So it's not about the difficulty of the question that increases, but the kind of pace that they are able to get based on the answers they are able to give or solve the questions and quizzes, maybe, all these things can be captured using AI, and we can make the system even more intuitive, and in the longer run helps the partners in a bigger way when the volumes are rising so much. That's something that we will definitely hope for.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think that's something we strive towards too, is having that automation in some of our processes. So things like being able to automatically mark the assessments and that sort of thing to help the teachers so that you can focus on teaching, essentially. And one of the things I know that you do is that you actually edit the courses. So that's part of your process to make sure what you're giving is what you want it to be. Could you explain why you decided to edit the courses on Courseware and how you went about that?
So customizing this particular course was a very interesting turn of events, which we did not plan for to start with. But as I said, when we got our licenses for Courseware, the first thing that we did, because both of us come from education, the first thing that we did is we have gone through the content and syllabus of each and every module of world languages. Personally, I have learned French language in my college days, so it was easy for me to relate to, for me to understand what exactly these modules meant, what was the learning objective. So that was the first thing we did. And frankly, it was wonderful. The content, the system, everything was robust. And the only issue was to complete this course, a student would take 3 months of time. Now, talking about the timeline, when we actually started doing this, when we were intending to do this, this was April, May 2022, which is a summer vacation time. That's a pretty big annual vacation here in Indian education system. The schools are shut for 1.5 months, or some schools even for a couple of months. So this was that summer vacation time when we wanted to introduce this. Now, generally in summer vacations, a lot of families travel together. They leave their hometowns, they see other parts of India. So that's how people travel here. And because of COVID, for past couple of years, people were not traveling. So students were not getting this chance to go out with their families anywhere. So this was 2022 was a pretty exciting time for all of us to actually get together with families and travel. So when we wanted to start with the courseware, we understood irrespective of the content being robust, getting a 3-month commitment from a student during summer vacation is a pretty difficult task. And we don't want to do that because we want kids to enjoy. We want them to go out. We want them to have fun. So this is where customization actually came into play. So a funny conversation, I was with Luke. He has been awesome support during all of this. So I was with him and we were discussing how to create sections, how to onboard students. And I was still not very sure to go for these 3 months type of courses. So while we were doing that, we saw this tab of customizing the course, right? So it was, you can edit the course, you can add some things to the module. And that piqued my interest. So we discussed the other half of the meeting only on this, how to go about it. And we understood that customization in Edmentum system was super easy. So the next step we did was keeping our learners and their needs in mind. And the reason that we want to take this courseware to our students, we cut this program down into a very bite-sized module of meet and greet in French. So instead of a 3-month course, we took it down to 10 days course. And in these 10 days, we only had 2 modules where a student would learn how to introduce, how to greet, how to communicate his or her phone number to their friends. And generally, as kids, we are always excited, right? When we come back from vacations, we come back to school, we strut around with our new skill, we want to show it off. And that's exactly what we wanted to give to our kids here. So we took this program down to 10 days, a very bite-sized program. And that's how we customized. That was the need. And the response was really amazing to that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was the response? Because obviously that's a change to what you originally thought you'd do. What was the response of the program that you put together?
So the response, I will go with the numbers, though that's not really my forte in asymmetrical, that's Sid's forte, but I will go with numbers. We had, because Sid is a finance guy, we always start with some numbers and some assumptions, right, with whatever we do. So we started thinking that we are going to create sections of 25 students each who will go through this 10-day program. And we'll have 4 such batches. So that will be very easily manageable for all of us. And 100 students, maximum 100 of them will do the program. And that's what we had initially thought. But when we floated the Google form out to all the schools, if students are interested, they can fill in their details and all of that. We received a tremendous response of more than 650 students. And on one hand, for the webinar, I'm going to say that yes, we were very happy, and 80% we were very anxious because we were prepared for like 100 students, and suddenly 650 came in. That was a tremendous pull on admin side on how we want to deliver this, how many batches, the overlapping of batches, and all of that, right? But the response has been amazing because school started giving us a call and telling us that we want more batches, we want more students to go through this. So yeah, the response was 100 versus 650, so to say.
That's amazing. That must be quite heartwarming to get that feedback from schools.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
Perfect. No, that's really good. And the theme keeps going back to you thought you'd be small numbers, but you keep getting huge numbers. So you're definitely doing something right.
And we are very, very happy. So we are absolutely not complaining about big numbers. We are now even more prepared for bigger numbers.
Yeah, definitely. And how were the teachers woven into this program?
So funny enough, we did not have teachers into this program at all. Because as we said earlier, when it comes to learning, we believe self-learning has much more retention value than teachers teaching them, because that's school. We did not want to replicate school here. So it was more of self-learning of 10 days. Having said that, we did one facilitator-driven interaction here. How we went about it is, after 2 days of students starting their program, of them having their login credentials, we had 1 hour facilitator interaction with them, which a part of this interaction was to navigate them through the system, how to go about solving these modules, understanding how can you listen to some of the pronunciations, because this was French. French is very funny. What you write, you don't pronounce. So how to go through those pronunciation, how to understand this course, how to submit your answers. So a part of our facilitator interaction was that, and a bigger part was actually bringing a lot of fun into this learning. So for this French course, what our facilitator did is we actually spoke about French language, French culture, French music. So we listened to some French songs. We even discovered some few words that students can talk to each other like a secret language, and others wouldn't know about it. So we did all of that, something like French fries that you generally like are not French. And we started there because we wanted this to be absolute fun learning for our students. We had puzzles, riddles in French. So that would remain with them. So facilitator interaction was to make sure that students knew how to learn this language. It was not to teach them what to do in those modules, because that, again, we believe should be a part of self-learning. That comes with their own pace, speed, cadence that they would like to go with. But facilitator driven interaction, we had one during the pace of 10 days.
That's really good. And I remember you telling me about the secret language before, and I was saying that I speak Welsh, which isn't a very well-spoken language. And speaking with my brother, it's definitely a secret language because no one else understands me. But yeah, I can see why that would be exciting for students to have something that they have that others don't know about.
Very, very true. And that's why after first couple of days, when they were just, trying to navigate through the course, they had this interaction. And then next 8 days, they were actually motivated to go back to the course, to do the course, irrespective that being a vacation time, to send some recordings to us, to send new pronunciations to us. So they were excited to do that. It was not just another school assignment that they wanted to tick off. They were very excited to go about it. And we were very happy to see, because the very reason, even when Asymmetrical was in a brainstorming phase, we were always sure that we wanted to make learning very joyful for our students, irrespective of what they are learning, what they are reading, what they are writing. It should be very joyful. It should not be someone making them sit and doing it. It should be them coming to us and doing it. So this was a very happy moment for us to realize that students were completing it that way.
Yeah, if I may add something here. Yeah, so again, it comes from the fact that we believe that it's good to know the students or kids' interests, when it comes to parents' worries. But then we kind of we are telling parents that, from K to 12, these kids will have 12 chances to discover what their interests are. Assuming that they get one chance every year. Like, I know so many students out there, kids out there, who started out to become a soccer player, and now they are playing awesome guitar for some band, or somebody who was completely disinterested in finance, like me, has finally got the finance degree and now working in education. So all these realities of the world we are trying to show to parents and encouraging them to believe that your kid has 12 chances and not just one chance to discover what he or she wants to do. And that's the reason keeping it joyful is very important for us.
Yeah, that really comes across. And as you say, it's just changing that dialogue, isn't it, to have one of hope. And we've had a comment as well in the chat about
I was about to say, Philip has written something really amazing, feedback and feed forward. Philip, I love what you have said, because it's very, very important, and we actually believe in that. So Gareth, if I may, I would like to quote an example here.
Yeah.
So once we were taking an entrepreneurship class, and we were just discussing business plans and everything with very young students. And while doing so, Sid has been an entrepreneur all his life. So he was the one who was explaining some really difficult business school concepts and dialing them down to how students would understand it. Or sometimes I should say even dialing it up, because these were very intuitive students. But he was explaining very business school type of concepts to school kids. And one girl towards the end, she said, I love that you did not treat us like a child and you treated us like an entrepreneur. And we had fun doing so. So Philip, thank you for saying it, because that brought back a lot of memories in this department. That feed forward and having these interactions is the best way, because we are not experts anymore to teach kids a lot of things. It's always learning mutually, it's learning together, and it's making sure that we have enough exposure for these kids.
Yeah, because students have access to a lot of this information just by looking on the internet, and it's that facilitator, as Philip said, and offering that feedback is a really good way forward. And similar to anyone else who wants to add a comment or ask a question, feel free. We've got the Q&A in chat, so feel free to add what your thoughts are as well. So the next question I have is, what's the support from Edmentum been like? You've mentioned it a little bit before, but how's that been going for you? You mentioned Luke, and how's that process been?
The support has absolutely been fantastic, frankly, because one, we could just email, and you were literally, as in your team was literally one email away. Because whenever, when I said that, it's 100 versus 650, and it was a moment of joy and all of that, but at the same time, it was insane for us to pull that together, to keep them into batches, to onboard them onto the system, making sure they're active, their sections are active, and everything that the system needed. And in this, we had Luke and Eve who were helping us through this process. And it was really amazing, because we could go back to them. They were always ready to lend their time to us, their expertise to us, even different ways to getting it done. And they always had questions. They did not just provide answers, but they asked us what was our objective, and accordingly we changed a few systems also. So in that sense, the support has been really amazing.
Good. That's really good to hear. But back to your school, I want to ask this question, but you've already given me a bit of feedback that I'm going to share in a moment. But the question was, what impact has Courseware had on your students? And I'm going to share my screen because we've got a recording here of one of your students giving some feedback. So let me share this 1 second. And it's a really sweet recording from one of your students. So let me share my sound as well.
Uncle, and to New India School for giving me this golden opportunity to learn French. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The live session with Ketki and Sanjana ma'am was also very exciting. Sanjana ma'am told us the 4 things we needed to master any language, namely reading comprehension, listening skills, writing skills, and speaking skills. She gave us a very valuable tip of writing down the pronunciation of the French word in a language which you already know. That really helped. The exercises were designed very nicely, covering what was taught in the module. The voice notes really enriched the learning experience, as we got to hear the proper pronunciations of the French words from a native speaker. Translations were provided on each page for quick and better understanding of the module. That also really helped. I loved taking all the tests except for the essay writing part. We also had to upload a voice recording of saying a few things or answering a few questions in French. That was also super fun. I would definitely love to learn more French. This was a wonderful experience, all thanks to Ketki ma'am, Sanjana ma'am, and to Asymmetrical. Au revoir.
So she's got a better vocabulary than I do. So any more comments on that?
Oh yes, this is such a joy to actually listen to this, and in our free time we are actually guilty of listening to such testimonials again and again. In COVID times, we couldn't meet our asymmetrical students as much as we would like. So we actually take any opportunity to interact with them, let it be a testimonial or going and meeting them, orientation, anything, we jump on that opportunity. Coming back to your question on how has the response been? So we mainly had 3 stakeholders, right? We had school, parents, and students here. And we were very much interested in knowing what they had to say to this particular experiment that we were trying to initiate. So as you listen to this audio from one student, we received multiple such from students who were doing it because they were genuinely having fun. They were recording their pronunciation, sending it back to us. So we had that. From schools, we received a very important feedback. So what happens is, after summer vacations, students here, they go to the next academic year. So they move from one grade to another grade, the next grade. And in this, for almost a couple of months or 1.5 months, schools generally lose touch with the students, which is otherwise every day on a regular basis. With this program, the teachers or schools who were involved with us understood that because the school is associated with asymmetrical, the school could be their partner even in summer vacations. They could be their partners in learning, and schools were very happy about that. So when we moved to 100, from 100 to 650, even we were happy that we could actually get the taste of this self-learning to more and more students, how asymmetrical is working, how Edmentum courses are. So we could actually get it to a bigger number of schools, parents, and students out there. Parents also were obviously happy for a reason that their child was trying to learn something new, and in some of the cases even parents were involved in this learning activity. So in some cases even parents recorded audios of pronouncing with their kid or singing some songs together. So that was a lot of fun. As far as the statistical impact goes, I would again leave it to Sid.
Yeah, so I think in the longer run, if Ketki is inferring that from statistics, in the longer run, we definitely want to see higher numbers for a simple reason that we want to show parents and help parents understand, and even schools who are interested in doing this with us, that even today's child is able to take self-initiative. We should not be underestimating their abilities, and we should not be forcing interests on them. They very well know what they want to do, and as far as giving this freedom goes, it's kind of essential. And if it is done, obviously the statistics will look beautiful, the numbers will look beautiful, and we are here to give them what they want rather than give them what we want. So in the longer run, we'll be sharing a lot of feedback around this with you. And we hope to partner with Edmentum even at a higher scale than where we are today, because this experience has kind of given us a lot of confidence, and the energy levels are very different now when we talk about self-learning modules and courses. So I think it's a very interesting path, and for volumes, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about commercials and other things that I'm sure will be useful for Indian students and well within their reach. That's the idea, because we believe in democratization of education. We want every child to have access to all these beautiful courses, and that's our mission. Because there are three things that we are doing, and Edmentum is an integral part of what we believe in.
And do the schools that you're working with, are they very new to this type of learning, the self-paced learning? Is it a new experience for them that you're introducing them to?
For schools, it's a very new experience, because it's maximum schools, again I'm saying maximum, I don't want to generalize, but still maximum schools here in India are brick and mortar schools. So every day kids go there, learn, and they come back. So that's how it works. It's always teacher driven. COVID, the pandemic, the lockdown, online education, that forced our hands into going online. So the school went online in terms of Zoom lectures or Google Meets, then classrooms, submitting everything online. So that's how it actually worked for them. But other than that, self-learning type of modules is not a usual practice here. So the schools, when we started, had a lot of questions about this, and it was good for us, because whenever we interact with schools, parents and students, that gives us a lot of insights into how we want to go ahead with certain things. So before we launched Courseware, we talked to a lot of schools in terms of how their students would get time, how they are currently learning, if they have access to technology, because we don't want to assume everything just because the course is good. Understanding our learners, keeping them at the center of what we do has always been important. So we did all these interactions, surveys of sorts, and then we launched this, because having self-directed learning in schools is not a usual practice here. Though some schools are doing it for some subjects or some courses, it's not very usual practice here.
Well, it sounds like you've really struck a nerve in a good way with the schools, and like we've built a partnership with you, it sounds like you're building a really trusted partnership with your schools, and the proof is in the pudding, as we say here in the UK. So the students are happy, they're giving you their feedback, and they're obviously telling that to the schools. It must be really heartwarming to see that.
It is, because when we say schools, it's the people who matter. So the administration, management, principals of school, at the end of the day, these are all people who are trying to do something good for kids, who are trying to figure out certain things with technology. And we are happy that so many schools across India are trusting Asymmetrical in this partnership in reading, writing, and learning, because they are trusting us, and we are happy that they do, because we can keep experimenting with all these things because of that.
So I have one last question. So if anyone does have any questions, type them in now. But for any schools thinking about using Courseware or those new to the program, what advice would you give them about setting up and using it, and any advice you can give to those people?
So simple advice would be just go ahead and do it. But frankly, Courseware, as you said, first, it offers a lot of variety, and it plays wonderfully well in any education system in terms of plug and play type of a model. So any school who wants to offer something supplementary or complementary to their learners, which is maybe not there in curriculum, or if you want to upgrade something from the curriculum, then Courseware is a very good place to start. You can customize these courses, you have variety of courses, and you keep getting support of how you want to assess your students. So that kind of flexibility schools can get. So any education institution or school who wants to get into this kind of learning partnership with its own students, Courseware is a fantastic place to start. So yes, you should repeating my very simple advice, you should actually go ahead and do it.
It says it better than I could. So it's been really interesting, Siddharth and Ketki. Thank you so much for this. I could speak to you all day about it, but it sounds like you're doing great things, and that the students seem enthused to not only learn French but to keep coming back, which is amazing. So just one last thing for everyone watching. If you are interested in anything that you've seen today, I've just put my contact details on the screen. You can reach out to us if you have any additional questions for Siddharth or Ketki. I'll make sure to forward them on as well, so we can continue that conversation, because I know, Ketki, you mentioned that you're always wanting to learn and speak to new schools. So anything that you want, or if you want to make that connection, or if you want to learn a bit more about Edmentum and what we can offer the school, please get in touch or write your emails in there. But yeah, we've had no questions through, so I just want to again thank you so much to Ketki and Siddharth for your time. It's been really inspiring and interesting to listen to you.
Thank you so much. And Gareth, as you said, we are always open for virtual coffee meets. So any school has any kind of questions, and we genuinely believe that education should be a very collaborative and community-driven effort. We might be missing something with our students, and if you're doing something awesome, we would love to hear it. It doesn't have to be a very specific partnership or opportunity that we want to do together. We can just even chat and discuss what we are doing with our students. So we are always happy to have this chat. And the entire team of Edmentum, it started with Eve, it continues with Luke and Gareth. Lindsay, thank you so much. You guys have been a great support in doing what we are doing. Just as I say that where we have reached in terms of numbers, it's the trust of schools, parents, and students. So we would continue abiding by that. And just like you guys have been supporting us, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, and thanks for everyone for watching as well.